Hey, and we're back with Weekends with Marsha J. I am Marsha J, and we've been having an awesome morning so far. Have you been having an awesome morning? Have you had your cup of tea yet? Have you read the morning paper? Because that's exactly where we're going shortly from now. But before we do that, I again want to say a big thank you to, first of all, DJ Kelly, who's been holding it down as our engineer this morning. Thank you. You have been like absolutely awesome this morning. And of course, to our sponsors, UME Digital Inc. You can find out more about them at www.umedigitalmediainc.com. And please do not forget to download our app. Pass it on. I know you've been enjoying the station. Listen, we're in 40 countries. We have over 20,000 listeners. So multiply that. Just send it to one person, just one. So we can just double that number right now and just call it a day and just have a huge celebration. Also, to Mindfulness in Ministry Masterclass. And you can find out more about them at www.mycoachministry.com, and I'll say that again, www.mycoachministry.com. And of course, Royal Events, celebrating life one event at a time. And to find out more about Royal Events, you can log on to www.marshajnow.com/events. All right, so we're going to go over to the New York Times for today, Saturday, July 25th, 2020, and we're just going to be browsing the front page at this time. All right, so let's see. So let's start with the weather. It says today is going to be mostly sunny, very high in the 88 degrees, somewhere there. Tonight is going to be clear to partly cloudy with a low of 74. Tomorrow we're going to be having sunshine and patchy clouds, quite hot and humid in the high 94s. All right, and you can also see the weather map on page C8 if you're a person that's logging on. All right, so here we go. U.S. ranks among nations hit hardest by the coronavirus, and 10 states outrank them all. Listen, this corona thing is just, I don't know. You know, there are a lot of opinions about persons who think that we opened the economy too early, but I guess it's reflecting in the numbers. So again, it says U.S. ranks among nations its hardest by the virus, and 10 states outrank them all. Are we going to be sliding over to the other side of the page where it says charities now in need of aid to stay afloat? Services are imperiled as pandemic bills. And this article is by Nicholas Kulish. In the grip of the coronavirus pandemic, the YMCA has provided a lifeline to many vulnerable Americans as the health crisis and its economic disruption eat away at the group's revenues. The question is whether anyone will throw a lifeline to the rescuers. The group's 2,600 outposts transformed in the first wave of illness into civic centers, caring for children of emergency medical technicians, doctors, and other essential workers when daycare centers closed down, feeding the poor when schools that offered meal programs shut down, even housing the homeless when slipping from view could mean a silent death. Yet, like much of the nonprofit sector, the YMCA finds itself in financial jeopardy as it is needed most. Before the pandemic, affiliates were typically operating on margins of 3% or less, and now revenues are down 30 to 50% nationwide. Most have furloughed 70 to 95% of their workers, and without help, hundreds of branches may be forced to close. Ouch. Under pressure, CDC backs call to open schools. Risks are definitely downplayed. Safety guidance follows criticism by presidents over tough rules. And this article was by Abby Goodenough, Washington. The nation's top public health agency issued a full-throated call to reopen schools in a statement that aligned with President Trump's pressure on communities, listing numerous benefits of being in school and playing down the potential health risk. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention published the statement along with new resources and tools on Thursday evening, 2 weeks after Sir Donald Trump criticized its earlier recommendations on school reopenings as very tough and expensive. His words ratcheted up what was already an anguished national debate over how soon teachers could return to classrooms. We're gonna swoop down, and I'm just going to tell you the topics that are on the page because I'm almost out of time. Primary upsets gives Albany jolt. Legislator may end up as U.S. most liberal. Sick, desperate, and turning to chlorine cure. Bolivians gamble on hazardous protein for virus relief. Behind the scenes of a U-turn on Trump's Jacksonville party. Marching for Black lives Marching for Black lives in the whitest big city. Portland speaks out despite its own rifts. And this is just a perusement of the morning page of the New York Times. And at this time, we're going to go over to Mr. Akeelim Hamilton, and he's going to be bringing us at this time the Caribbean Roundup. Over to you, Akeelim.
Hey, well, thanks for having me, Marsha J. It's been a blessed morning. I'm also having my cup of tea.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful morning here. But let me just give you take 2, roundup of the Caribbean. Now, let's start off with Jamaica. The Bar Association demand Attorney General withdraw comments criticizing judiciary. I'm going to hit you with that headline for give you enough time to sip your cup of tea. Now we can get into it. The president of the Jamaica Bar Association, Emily Lever, says the Attorney General's statement could undermine the public trust in the judicial system. The Attorney General, Queen's Counsel, Merle Malahou-Fort, says she appreciates that the statement made by a holder of one high office can severely affect the public confidence in the holder of other high offices. This came on the heel of a tweet that Mrs. Malahou-Fort posted that if ever our courts of law cease to be guided by or apply the law and instead become court of public opinion, special interest, personal interest, or anything less than, therein lies the biggest threat to our democracy. Well, the Attorney General was responding to a suggestion by 2 attorneys that the Supreme Court Judge Bertram Morrison heard a habeas corpus application and ruled that the detention of 5 men under the state of public emergency is unconstitutional. So clearly the opposition had to say something. Wow. So the opposition Senator K.D. Knight commented on the statement and says that in the House of Senate, that Mrs. Malahou-Fort, if she stands by her comment, she should resign. Let me sip another cup of tea because that was a lot to take in.
Mm-hmm.
No,
wow.
No, this is a celebration. Marsha, this is the biggest celebration we should have right now. Now, it's a win for the Caribbean and a win for Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
A Jamaican was appointed executive director to the International Trade Center of the UN.
Wow.
I know.
Where is the confetti?
I'm blowing up mine. It's going off in my head. It's going off in my head. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Gutierrez on Friday announced the appointment of Jamaican Pamela Cook Hamilton as Executive Director of International Trade Center, the joint agency of the United Nations Conference of Trade and Development, that's UNCTAD, and the World Trade Organization for Trade and International Business Development. Mrs. Cook Hamilton, who is currently Director of the Division of International Trade and Commodities at UNCTAD, is a lawyer, a diplomat, and a trade expert. I am happy in two ways. One, for the Caribbean. Two, she named Hamilton. My name is Hamilton, of course.
Of course. Pick up yourself.
And just saying take now, going all the way over to Barbados right now. So Barbados amended guidelines for its remote working visa program. It was amended to include partner clause, which came amid concern of discrimination against LGBT persons, as it previously indicated spouse as man and woman as per the domestic law. This was addressed by the Prime Minister, Mia Mottley. Over a couple of days, Barbados has officially launched its 12 months Barbados Welcome Stamp. It's a new visa that allows remote workers to live and work from the Caribbean country for up to a year. A new 12-month visa let me correct that it aims at those who work remotely, which, as the COVID virus lockdown has shown, applies to more persons than we previously thought. For more detail on this, persons can visit barbadoswelcomestamp.bb for more information. That is BARBADOSWELCOMESTAMP.bb. And something that we all are concerned about, I know I could not have been doing this without thinking about the weather. So while all that weather's happening in the US, this is what happened in the Caribbean now. We have a tropical storm, Gonzalo, accelerating its speed to southern western islands, right? As of 11 a.m. on July 24th, 2020, tropical storm Gonzalo maximized sustained wind at nearly 50 miles per hour. This is 10 miles per hour drop from its earlier reading. The U.S. National Hurricane Center, however, continue to advise that there is considerable uncertainty in the intensity forecast, but some strengthening is still possible during the next day or two. That's before Gonzalo reaches the southern western Windward Islands. So Windward Islands are battening up now and doing all they need to do to get themselves prepared for a tropical storm.
Wow.
Weakness is expected after Gonzalo moved into the Caribbean Sea, as the cyclone is expected to dissipate by the middle of the week. Well, middle of next week, actually. So fingers crossed, the rest of the Caribbean, we don't get to face much of it. But I'm sorry for those in the windward side. I'm so sorry.
I know. And we have already like four hurricanes that are
yes.
out and about.
We have actually had the first hurricane of Atlantic season is the one in the Gulf of Mexico right now. That is what's happening now. That's the first one. Everybody's a tropical storm. I'm like, what's happening? That's 4.
2020 year.
I don't know what's happening. But as I said, only the Lord knows, and He knows why. We were facing a lot of heat. We needed this little rain. Let's just give us a storm, and we can handle the wind and the rain. Just make the wind weak, and a lot of rain, and we can feel good. To keep the earth cool. But He knows what He's doing. Back into Antigua and Barbuda. Antigua and Barbuda to hold virtual party monarch competition. With the COVID-19 forcing the cancellation of carnival activity in Antigua and Barbuda, this year's party monarch competition will be held virtually. The Antigua and Bermuda Festival Commission, ABFC, announced that for the first time, a virtual party monarch competition will be held Saturday, August 1st. The competition is open to all citizens of Antigua and Bermuda, 18 years and older. The participants can complete the registration form online by visiting Antigua Carnival website. They can submit their track record and music by email or flash drive. For email, it is abfestivals@ab.gov.ag. That is abfestivals@ab.gov.ag. We all get that, right?
Yes, we do.
I'm hoping so. The deadline for registration, however, for track submission is Saturday, July 25th, which is today. So if you haven't already, I hope that you're doing it now.
Yeah.
All of persons in Antigua and Bermuda that wish to be a part of the festival, go out, enjoy yourself, make your submission, be a part of this first event. So, and that's it for today's roundup of today's.
Thank you so much, Akeelim.
You're most welcome. I would just like to share that what Lady Wilson said today, it is close to home as well for me. My grandaunt has lost her, she had a stillborn as well.
Wow.
When she was, well, it was before I was born, but it's still, even up to today's age, it still affects her. So I can understand. And
yeah.
all powers go to you. But just to close, anybody who wishes to submit information or just give us a shout out or information, any news, you can send it to info@umeradio.com. Now on over to you, Marsha J.
Hold on, Akeelim. I don't want you to go so fast because I have a very interesting topic. We have a little segment called Hot Topics that we're introducing today. And I realize that we have some more guests in the studio. We're going to go to them shortly. How do you feel about the whole, well, we know Kanye West, he has now given his life over to the Lord and, he's making waves in the music industry. And now here comes a story about him being bipolar, and the community at large is being very hard on him for it. And then we know of Kim Kardashian, who is his wife, and she has been advocating and saying, please understand that his speech or his erraticness is really attributed to the illness that he's going through. What are your thoughts on that?
Mental illness is not something that we should play around with or criticize. And yes, some may say he may be using it as an excuse because he has the money and the resources to do that, but I don't think it is. I believe that if somebody's bipolar, it's very hard of you to sit there on your high horse and judge him for his behavior he can't control. I'm sure he's trying to enough himself to keep it in.
Yeah.
And depending on the stage in which he's at, I think we should at least give him the benefit of the doubt and say, you know what, we're here. And he's another black man. We are already facing, we have Nick Cannon facing his dilemma. We have quite a few facing their dilemma. We had Monique the other last year or year before. We had so much black people that are wealthy black people that has what some would deem accomplished, and they've been teared down. Stop doing that to each other. Let's put our backs behind of him. Let's protect him. Let's support him. Mental illness is not easy. It's hard on the person, hard on the family, or hard on everybody who comes in contact with him. It's not something that we should take lightly or easy. I don't think we should be harsh on him. But I like Kanye. I don't know why. I have always liked Kanye. I think he speaks his mind always. I like someone that speaks their mind. He's focused and he's driven and he's quite artistic. He's a good producer and a really good musician. And I think it's time that we just take ourselves out of our own feelings and opinions of what somebody might do or what they may be, and listen to the information and examine it and apply. Little compassion. You don't have to put in a lot. Just enough. Just enough, to let him know you're here and you love him and you respect him, and that he's going through something and you support his family. You don't have to donate money. You don't have to do anything. Just let him know you're here. Send him love on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just send love. That's my take on it.
Thank you so much for your take on it. And the Dallas Observer this morning is pretty much, this is a very powerful article. I won't be able to even share all of it, but just a little bit of it. And the writer of this article is Mr. Darrell Ratcliffe. And I'm just taking out a segment of it. He says, in my experience, Black people don't like to talk about mental health issues. My family didn't. We ignored mental health issues. We used euphemisms. There were people who were, quote unquote, a bit touched, who got their, quote unquote, got in their moods, and who, quote unquote, were a little crazy. And in the community, strong ties to church only complicates things. How could you be depressed and simultaneously believe in Jesus? How could you take medicine, yet you believe in a higher power? It's as if somehow the brain is not considered a part of the body, although it can become as broken and as dysfunctional as any other part. And I must say, when I saw this piece of the article, I was like, wow. Wow. And we're going to be talking some more about that. Thank you so much for joining us, Akeelim. And that's Take Two with Akeelim. Thank you so much. He comes on here every week during the news to give us the Caribbean roundup. We're going to be having in studio shortly Dr. Pearnell Bell, and she's a psychologist. And we're going to be diving into that because we have a lot of ethnic folk who have a lot of bipolar happening, going on in their families, and they just don't know how to deal with it. But in the meantime, in between time, my executive producer, could you let me know if we are ready to run that track? Are we ready?
After his initial Twitter post on Monday night, where he claimed Kim was trying to have him locked up, a lot of people, including us, had concern over Kanye.
Kanye posted a bunch more tweets. So he says they tried to fly in with 2 doctors to 5150 me.
Yeah, Kim writes, as many of you know, Kanye has bipolar disorder. Anyone who has this or has a loved one in their life who does knows how incredibly complicated and painful it is to understand. I've never spoken publicly about how this has affected us at home because I'm very protective of our children and Kanye's right to privacy when it comes to his health. But today I feel like I should comment on it because of the stigma and misconceptions about mental health. Those that understand mental illness or even compulsive behavior know that the family is powerless unless the member is a minor. People who are unaware or far removed from this experience can be judgmental and not understand that the individual themselves have to engage in the process of getting help no matter how hard family and friends try.
I'm your girl, Minister Marsha J, and we have with us in studio today the beautiful Dr. Pearnell Bell. Good morning, Dr. Bell. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
Saturday morning. Thank you.
Yes, laughter is truly medicine. Thank you so much for joining us.
It is.
Yes, and so, Dr. Bell, you are here this morning because you are an expert, and I have known of you for a very, very long time, and I know that you know your stuff. So we just played a clip, and I would like to credit the clip to, let me get that information real quick. That clip was from Entertainment Tonight Canada, where there was a quick discussion about Kanye West and him having bipolar disorder. I want to start by asking you, what is bipolar? Is that a word? What is having bipolar?
So, if you notice, the word is bipolar, and bi means two, and pole means two extension of. And so when we think of bipolar, it's really a mental disorder that is actually characterized by periods of, on one end, that's the pole, mania, and on the other end, depression, and sometimes in between what we call hypomania.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, do you have any statistics for us as to how wide of a spread is bipolar disorder?
Well, statistics have actually shown generally that 1 in 4 persons will experience a mental health issue. 1 in 4.
Wow.
So if it's 4 of us here or 5 of us here, it's going to be 1.5 of us will actually experience some mental health issue at some point in our lives. But for bipolar disorder, in the US, for example, it's 1.4, they say, per year that will experience this mental health issue. And the statistics would show that over 3 million persons have bipolar disorder in the US. Globally, the figures are 2.4 persons worldwide.
Wow, that's
2.4%.
2.4%.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that information. Tell me, I realize that mental health is a very uncomfortable conversation for us sometimes. and there's much euphemism. Sometimes we downplay it a lot, especially for persons of faith. A lot of times, there is the conversation of it being something spiritual, mental health illness, and then there's a conversation of, yes, it's mental health illness, but there are things and forces that are attached to it. And then there's the other side of the coin, where when these persons, we know of these persons, whether they are close family members or a next door neighbor perhaps, we're not entirely sure how to handle persons who go through these episodes. Could you guide us as to how do we extend love? How do we extend understanding? How should this be treated?
Okay, so mental illness is real, and we are humans before we're anything else. And if you're coming from a Christian point of view, human beings are subjected to imperfection. And it is through these imperfections that we become ill, whether it's a mental or a physical illness. So mental illness is a breakdown in the chemistry of the brain and the mind. That's what mental illness is, where we end up with irrational and distorted types of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
That's a human phenomenon.
Wow.
And so it can happen to any one of us, including myself, who is a mental health person, because of the fact that we're human. So if you're coming from that Christian point of view, you should not look at mental illness as a malady. It's really a human experience that any one of us can go through. And I will just say, for example, somebody died for you. You're going to be sad for a period of time. And if that sadness continues over time, unabated, it could become depression. You were actually attacked by someone. You may have gone through an episode of anxiety. That's gone unchecked, could become post-traumatic stress disorder. So some of the issues that we raise are psychosocial, that leads to mental health issue, and some are biological, that leads to a mental health issue. So that is to put to rest people who are saying that if you're Christian, you're not doing this or that. Always remember, you're human, subjected to the human condition. And that in and of itself can lead to mental health issues.
Wow.
I want to put that out there.
Yes.
Now, putting that out there and neutralizing that any one of us can have mental health issue should help us to come from a place of compassion. And so when we are speaking about mental health issues, we should come from that place of understanding that we are human beings subjected to all kinds of realities, including mental health issues. And if someone have it, then we should see it as another aspect of us being the human situation. And then the conversation should be, if this person is having these issues, that the compassionate thing to do is to seek help, because there is help out there, because we have now come to know that mental health issues can be managed. And so there are ways. The person should be encouraged to see a psychologist, a psychiatrist, and a diagnosis is given, and appropriate treatment is put in place so that the person can live what we would say a near normal life. Because with a combination of treatment of psychotherapy, which is talk therapy, and medicine, which is medication, it can help the person to live a near normal life. And so that would be the conversation, where if the person is behaving in a way that would say that this is a mental health issue, then the conversation should be seek help, because help is out there.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Bell. For those of us who are just joining, we're inside Hot Topics, and we are speaking with Dr. Pearnell Bell, psychologist from the beautiful island of Jamaica. And we're here kind of pulling apart the story of Kanye West and him having converted to faith. And he's now struggling with bipolar disorders. And there are so many things in the news that's going on about it. But it should be noted that this is not unique to him because he is a public figure or a celebrity. Dr. Bell was stating before that 1 in 4 persons are normally affected with bipolar disorder. And that wraps up our segment of Hot Topic this morning. Dr. Bell, before you go, could you tell us, you are a psychologist, and we know you're one of the persons that we need to check in with. And, you know, guys, I seriously think that, especially for us in the Caribbean, sometimes we think that it's not, if somebody says, I'm going to talk to somebody or I'm going to go to a psychologist or a counselor, it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. We all need help, right? We all know how far wisdom goes. You know, wisdom is not just saying, repeating the scripture, whatsoever things are lovely and beautiful and all those things, think on these things. But it also means that God has put into people, professional people, the tools that are needed to help you to stabilize, to help you to balance. And for me, this kind of hits home because sometimes I do struggle with depression, and I am a minister of religion, and I do love God deeply. But there are things that affect us as human beings, and we cannot process these things by ourselves. So sometimes I have to go sit down on a couch and talk to somebody. And then with the word of God and with their professional help, I get through what I'm getting through. So Dr. Bell, for those who want to reach out to you, how do we contact you?
Okay, I can be reached at 876-453-5250.
All right. Could you tell us that number again?
876-453-5250.
Thank you so much. And this number is also connected to WhatsApp?
Yes. It is.
Yes, it is connected to WhatsApp. So anywhere you're listening from, remember, we're in 40 countries currently. It doesn't matter where you are. Dr. Bell is here for you this morning. You can hit her up on WhatsApp, and she'll be able to assist you as best as she can. Thank you so much for coming, Dr. Bell, to Hot Topics this morning. And we look forward to having you again. Take care. And in the Caribbean, as we say, walk good.
Walk good too.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We go to a quick song.
Walking in your favor and your glory, taking back all my territory. The hand of God is gone before me. Closed doors are open before me.
Speak life. Stay connected. Live on purpose. Transforming lives through uplifting entertainment and radical conversations, keeping you connected to relevant and empowering information. You're listening to UMERADIO.
My name is Marsha J, international recording artist, and you are inside Weekends with Marsha J.
Grateful, grateful, grateful.